Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My special guest this hour is Chef William Eick. He's the founder and executive chef at Matsu, voted best restaurant in San Diego Magazine 2022 and 23. And the awards just keep stacking up for chef here. And the restaurant is spoken. I have a friend that lives down there, not Jonathan that I just told you about, but another friend that had mentioned you as a chef before I was introduced to you today, and how she admired her favorite restaurant, how much she admired you, and wanted to meet you. So it's you're very well known in the industry, and your restaurant very very well known, as you know.
We have
Want to
fun.
talk about Matsu.
Yeah.
So I know the meaning in Japanese, right? Pine, and I read about the restaurant in the first segment here. But what does Matsu stand for? What are your core principles? What do you want the restaurant to be known for? What do you stand for?
We really want to preserve the traditions and techniques of Japanese food, um, and highlight that using the ingredients that are around us. So, like you said earlier, and what our kind of message is, and what Matsu means, deeper than just meaning pine, is that connection between that history of pine in Japan and connecting that with our terroir in Southern California. Um, we want to make sure we are as respectful in that sense to that Japanese culture and tradition and history as possible. And that's kind of that, and just bringing it into this new kind of modern light of cooking.
Okay, and so that would be the basically and the vision as well, right? I mean, I think that would describe your vision for Matsu. Can you describe to me and to everybody listening, kind of bring it to life? Like if I walk up on the street and I walk up to the restaurant, tell me what I'm going to see. Tell me when I open that door, what I'm smelling, what I'm seeing, and how it all plays into this vision, this respect for Japanese culture and the process and the food and the people. Can
So
you
when you're
bring
outside
that
the
design together for me, or bring that design to life if you could?
yeah, uh, when you're walking down the street, uh, our front of the building where the front door is faces west. So as the sun's setting, it can get really bright in the restaurant. So what we did was we put blackout curtains. The door is this big, giant wooden black walnut door. So you can't see inside the restaurant if you're outside. The sign is very small, just on the side, says Matsu. That's really it. We do have a couple herb planters out front that we use a lot of. So we're growing everything out front. So all you're going to see is really like these couple boxes of planters and this wooden door, and the place is going to look closed. Doesn't matter if it's 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. It's just gonna look like no one's inside. And then you open that door and the lights are already dim. By the time we open up for service, 4 o'clock, you walk in and the lights are down, and it's almost like you walk in and it's pitch black. Your eyes have to adjust, and that gives us a sense to be able to walk up, greet you, and then bring you to your table. And as your eyes adjust, everything becomes brighter, it becomes a little bit easier to see around. There's lots of wood everywhere. There's some plants on the walls, but it's very minimal, very subtle, um, because we want you to focus on your experience, not just the food, not just the service, but we want you to focus on whoever you are with, and then just enjoy your time having a nice meal with your wife, your kids, your sister, your brother, whoever it is, parents, whoever. We just want you to be able to be immersed in your own little world for a moment. So we remove you from the outside world by resetting everything, by making like your eyes have to reset. It's like this subtle subconscious kind of like, okay, everything's just changed. shock your system real quick.
I love that.
Depending on the time of year, when you leave, it does it again. Like this time of year, it's already dark by the time you're out. You know, it's about a 2.5, 3 hour experience, depending on how fast you eat. And then when you go out, say in the summertime, 7 o'clock, you get blinded again. You're just like, oh my God, it's really bright outside. Which I mean, that's the downside. But this time of year, sunsets at what, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So you
Yeah.
also it's dark and you're like, oh, back to the real world. So
Yeah.
we want to just like take you out from whatever stresses are going on in the outside world and allow you just to be like, I could be anywhere. I could be in New York, I could be in France, I could be in Tokyo, I could be in Oceanside, California. You don't really think about it anymore. You're just there to enjoy yourself,
I love that. It's
about all the worries, and then
just
it's fine.
immerse yourself in your world and
Yeah.
be taken care of.
Yeah.
And yeah, forget the outside worries and the troubles. That's one of the best things I think about dining out with friends, family, whomever, is that is losing that connection to the world and just connecting with the people in front of you over really great food.
Yeah.
Doesn't get better than that, I don't think. Well, let's sing the praises of your staff a little bit. Tell me about your key staff members and their special skills that what they bring to your concept, Matsu.
So my GM, Kim Rojas, she is one of 2 females certified sake sommelier in San Diego County. She used to brew sake with her boyfriend, who's now brewing sake in Vietnam's first sake brewery. So she's got this really deep background for that side, which is great. Brings that experience, that passion for sake and Japanese alcoholic beverages to the guest. We can explain more, we can educate more, we can give more of an experience than most other places. She's phenomenal with that. My bar manager, although he just likes to be called bartender, Roland, has been with me for 6 years now, in various restaurants. He is a wealth of knowledge in all things alcohol. Ask him about whiskey and you'll probably have a 24-hour conversation going into depth of whatever you want.
Japanese whiskeys, good Japanese.
The
Yeah.
Japanese scotch, it doesn't matter. Like you take it the direction you want it to go, and he will give you all of the knowledge and all the tools. And he's phenomenal. Some of the best cocktails I've ever had in my life, even before he was employed by me. And my sous chef, Declan Von Dorp, he's like a 8 to 10 year younger version of me. It really reminds me of myself when I was first getting into sous chef type positions. He's traveled the world. He's cooked in, the Faroe Islands and Norway and Italy, and he's from Orange County. He's just this really attention to detail, passionate guy. And it's having those 3, and I could go on about every single member of my staff if we had enough time, but those 3 specifically are my biggest support systems. Not that the others don't support me, and they support me very well. I'm very proud of my entire team. I mean, my dishwasher's been with me for 7 years at various restaurants. The amount
Art of the house.
yeah, it takes the entire team, it takes the entire village, and everybody at Matsu helps each other immensely, and we're all very passionate about food and service and Matsu and how we do things, and we're always looking to elevate.
How often do you train staff every day? Do you take a moment to spend time with, and does your management do the same, where you spend time with staff members and teach them something every day? Or is that
As often as needed possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say every day. We get, small garnishes or fruits changed on certain dishes every single day. So there's a little bit of just like, hey, it's lemon balm today instead of lemon verbena, whatever it's going to be. And then we'll pick certain staff members. Like we do have a couple new guys, and we're just like, hey, here's a bit of information for you. Let's learn about this dish in its entirety today. Like we talked about the sunflower. give them that and run down every single thing. We show them the recipes.
Mhm.
Like, we're not sitting there and be like, it's my recipe book, it's my secret. I'll send you all the recipes right now. It doesn't matter to me. We want them to have every bit of knowledge. So if the guest asks, oh, what am I tasting? This one thing that tastes like lemongrass. It's like, well, it's not lemongrass. It's this other thing over here. And by the way, it's growing out front of the restaurant. Having that and sharing that for them makes it so much more enjoyable for the guest.
Right. They can share that now with their table and with their guests. Yeah, I like that. Um, how do you challenge yourself and stay fresh and stay, you've got that competitive edge, you've got that drive, that relentless drive to do better every day and to keep taking it up a notch. How do you do that? What's your personal secret for that?
Go surfing.
What does that do for you? Does it
Hey, it's just getting
clear
back
the
in the
mind
water,
and
splashing around, you know, it just
Mhm.
it checks you out for a little bit, gets a nice little reset. But realistically, it's reading books, you know, getting the time with the kids on the day off, you know, just trying to have an outside life other than just restaurant 24/7. And that's been probably the biggest learning curve, having now my own restaurant that really is truly mine and trying to cook at the highest level there is. It's hard to not just sit there and be
all
like, it's got
consuming?
all this all the time. That's all we got to do. Cause that's how you get burnt out. And then you forget that there's so much more to life. Having those outside things, it could be any hobby, it doesn't have to actually be surfing, but having those outside hobbies allows you to reset and then be like, I'm excited to go to work today. I just learned about this new strawberry strain. I need to figure this out, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
you can't wait to get back.
yeah, yeah,
I watched an interview with you, and you said happy cooks make let me get the quote right. Happy cooks make better cooks,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's always been to me. I talk to chefs and they say that you've got to put love in the food. You've got to put. It's basically what you're saying. You be
yes.
happy. Put good energy into it, and it's a mystery to me. Why do you think? But it's so true. Why do you think that matters from a chef's perspective? Why does the food taste better when people that are cooking it care and put love into it and energy? And why do you think that it translates that way
Well,
versus an angry cook?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head in the question. They care. Uh, they're excited about it. They're passionate. They want to see the smiles on the people's faces instead of being like, I just got to throw this together and get this out of here, and I want to go home and do whatever I want to do at home. Uh, they're excited about it. They're gonna spend more time focusing on how well they're making it because they are excited about it. They're passionate about it instead of just, I mean, if you're
Going
just
through the
grumpy,
motions.
you're gonna be like, get me out of here. Here you go,
Yeah.
see you later. Um, you're not going to make sure it has enough salt or acid or bitterness or sweetness or whatever the dish needs. It's not going to be perfect, and you can taste that.
Tell me about the tasting menu. This is how you're this is, tell me about how if I come dine at Matsu, how you serve the menu. Give me an idea of the process there and what I could expect.
So if once you come into the restaurant, as you sit down, we ask what kind of water you like. And then we give you what's called oshibori. It's just a warm towel service. Something you would see all over Japan, and you do see it in some restaurants here and there. Low level restaurants, it's just a wet nap in a container. High level restaurants, it's a nice warm towel or cold towel, maybe depending if it's summer. So we start you off with that, and then we get your drink order, and we do the amuse bouche, which is this little just fish waffle with a raw piece of fish. So it's like having a little piece of nigiri at a sushi restaurant, but instead of rice, it's a fish waffle. Um, then we'll start with something really kind of lighter, raw fish, acidic, kind of clean you up and get you started. And then everything kind of starts to progress from there. It gets more rich, more rich, more rich. Then we get into desserts. It's something that's a little bit more acidic and bitter. and then we finish with something that's super like savory sweet. Uh, and then in French cuisine, it'd be called petit four, but in Japanese cuisine, it's called wagashi. It's just like a couple little bite snacks to end the meal. And we lean a little bit more into the tradition where it's just a seasonal fruit. It's just a little jelly, and it's just like a little bit of tea to end the meal. Uh, and that kind of just, you finish with that, and then you go about your merry way. Hang out with us and drink some more wine, whiskey, whatever you want to do, or say, all right, I'm ready to go home now. And that's, we go about 10 courses, 11 if you add the A5 Wagyu. Uh, and that's just, it's a very simple, like, kind of direct, one dish at a time, one dish at a time, one dish at a time. We reset the silverware every single time. There are chopsticks if you prefer to use chopsticks on the table, but they're there just in case. Um, it's,
What an experience. And it's just course after course. How many, when you, of all that you mentioned, what's the typical course
10.
or how many total?
Yeah, 10. 10, you go 11 if you add the Wagyu. And it's typically 2.5 hours, 3 hours of dining is kind of the average. Like, you're enjoying yourself, enjoying your company.
Yeah, sounds like it. I love it. Eat at matsu.com and make your reservations. Matsu is on 626 South Tremont Street, Oceanside, California. You can find out more. You can email them at info@eatatmatsu.com or call them up 1-760-681-6152. Again, eatatmatsu.com. You can also make reservations through Open Table online or through their online system on their website, eatatmatsu.com. My special guest today, Chef William, and we will be right back. Chef William Eick, excuse me. We'll be right back for our final segment.